Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting together on June 4th. We'd like to begin with our invocation and pledges of allegiance.
Roger's going to lead us in those.
Thank you. Lord, we thank you for this day and the blessings you have given us. Because you provide us with all that we need, we have confidence that you will grant us the wisdom we need for our meeting. The information presented today will give our leadership what they need to make decisions that will benefit the students and staff of Southwest ISD. We also ask for a special blessing for all of our recent graduates. We pray that they find success and happiness in the future. And all these things we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone speak?
No, sir.
Okay, in that case, I'd like to take a break, get our food, and come back. Go to item 4. Consider approval of portable relocation for bond renovation projects.
Yes, sir. Due to the upcoming renovations to two elementary, Southwest Elementary and Elm Creek Elementary, we're going to end up having to move two-room portables to Elm Creek to give them 4 portables there, so that as we do the renovation, because the renovation is going to be during the school year and possibly 2 summers. And so we're asking the board to relocate two-room portables to Elm Creek and then 3 portables to Southwest Elementary as we start to ramp up that renovation project as well. Dotson Housing Moving gave us a proposal. They're on the buy board. It's roughly going to cost about $135,985. Inside that, it also includes demolishing 2 portables that are no longer useful. And at the same time, this quote does not include the electrical and the fire and the fire alarm, the panel for the PA. That will come later on. Once we get it set up, we'll have a contractor look at that. So the recommendation that the board approve the use of bond funds to hire Dotson Housing Moving to relocate and demolish the portables that I just mentioned above.
I move.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. The board approved Dotson House Moving to relocate and demolish the above-mentioned portables for the amount of $135,984.36. Questions?
I just have a quick question. The electrical and all that other stuff, is that coming out of bond funds?
That is,
Okay.
yes.
Where are these located right now?
Sorry, I got to chip them out. There's the 2 that are at the end of the street here. Those are going to go to Southwest, or to Elm Creek. And then there's going to be 2 at Boot Camp that we're relocating Boot Camp to the academy. So we're taking those out and moving those to Southwest Elementary. And then we have an additional one that's going to be new coming in that's going to Southwest Elementary.
Any more questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Now item 5, consider authorizing Doty Maddox and Mackenzie Sullivan to act as superintendent alternate for approving staff requests through TEA login or TEO.
Yep, this is one that we had already approved, just that TA requires for the individuals' names to be on the minutes. So Jody Maddox and Mackenzie Sullivan already had this authority to do this, but we just have to add their names on the minutes because I have to submit that to TA.
I move.
We have a motion and a second that the board authorizes Doty Maddox and Mackenzie Sullivan to act as a superintendent alternate for approving staff request, also referred to as submitted request to TEA, for access to one or more TEA web applications, access through the TEA login or TEO. This authorization is valid for the calendar year starting January 24 through January 25. Questions? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Abstain.
One abstention. All against. Motion passes with one abstention. Mr. Sullivan. Item number 6, consider approval of Southwest High School CTE 2023-2024 overnight trip to Kerrville, Texas for agriculture fabrication / animal science - vet studies area leadership camp.
And usually, board, these are on our consent, but since we don't have it on a consent for brown bag, we put it on here, so it's nothing unusual. If you have any questions, of course, we have Dr. Ortiz to answer questions, but it is just one of our regular overnight items.
I move.
We have a motion, the board approve the Southwest High School 2023-2024 overnight trip to Kerrville, Texas. Board, any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, items of information, item 7. Let's go to our budget update.
Absolutely. I know that Scott and Brandon have been working on the budget, and we have lots of information to share with the board. This is certainly the board's opportunity to ask a lot of questions, give us suggestions and advice, and for Scott to do his thorough job of presenting this budget information. So Scott, it is all yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Vasquez, members of the board, Dr. Ball. Today we are discussing the budget workshop. And here we go. It's a little bit of a background. So we did reach out to TASB to do a pay study review back earlier in the spring, and they brought back some options. We discussed them all within our organization, and we found a few things that we liked and a few things that we didn't like. So today we're going to talk about some of the recommendations that we want to do, and one of the recommendations that we're looking at is to move the special education high needs clerk position from a pay grade 1 to a pay grade 2. So that's one of the recommendations. So we'll have 2 clerk positions within there. Oh, yes, ma'am.
It's not really a clerk, though.
It's an 8.
8.
It's a special, it's an 8 position, so it'll be 8.
Right, so just to clarify,
Yes.
it's not the clerk, it's the actual.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
There we go. And then we'll maintain our current compensation plan layout the way we have it right now. TASB recommended that we extend our scale, but we like to keep it where it is. It kind of helps us control our costs a bit better. We're also looking at recommending a 2% raise on midpoint, which would be for everybody except for the teachers, nurses, librarians, and counselors. We'll do a $1,400 flat adjustment, which is a little bit more than 2%. So and there we go. All right. So from the TASB study, we have they compared our compensation for teachers within our compensation, our planning group, and so you can see that we're kind of to the top of that group right now. We're like between number 3 and number 4 right there for starting salaries, and so we feel like we're in a good position right now, even without any additional compensation. And there, you'll see at the bottom of the page, there's a blue arrow where we compare it to the median of the group. You can see that we're 100% over the median of the group in every area except for the highest teacher salary. So we're in good shape right there. Yes, ma'am.
You said, going back to that previous page,
Yep.
you said 2% for the first group,
Yes.
and then you said 1,400 flat, which is more than 2%?
It's a little bit more than 2%. So 2% on our teacher scales is 1,357. So we just round up to 1,400. So it's a little bit. And that's, if you'll notice in the paper, that's pretty similar to what Northside's actually.
Northside give the 1,100, and then they also give the
2% with
the 550 for the.
Yeah. And so they're doing that for the incentive, and then they're also, on top of that, they said, I think today, that they're doing a 2%, which equated to a $1,400 teacher
Okay.
increase. So I thought they stole my presentation.
Are they on deficit budgets as well?
Yes, they're on deficit budget. But I believe every district in our surrounding area is on a deficit budget. So. All right, so moving right along. This is how we compare currently to the other teacher salaries within our cohort there. So we've got You got the new teacher salaries, year 5, year 10, year 15, and year 20 are all right there for you to kind of see where we're at, just to kind of get a gauge. And so we're in pretty good shape. Last year's increase was a very, very good increase, and it put us in a better position to be out there recruiting teachers and kind of raised us a little bit higher on the scale, so that's good. So that's where we're at currently. I'm sure other districts will also be looking at giving a raise, so that could change a little bit, but there we are. All right. This scale right here is also from the TASB study. It shows kind of where our salaries are versus our cohorts are. So you can see that we're above the market median for the teacher salaries. So again, we're in good shape. All right, so that brings us to our budget discussion. All right, so we had a significant increase to our medical insurance that I'll draw your attention to, and that increased our deficit a little bit. We've also took out the TASB adjustments, so you can see a little bit difference in the numbers there. But 10.6 is the deficit we're looking at starting with right here. So this is our starting budget. All right. Oh, sorry. Any questions on this?
This is our starting budget without the 2% raise and all that?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So we are looking at a couple of options here for our district. We're looking at a 2%, as we talked about earlier. There are a couple of adjustments to the teacher pay scale to kind of give it a little more flow, let it flow a little bit nicer than what we currently have. So we have those additional costs of $32,000. You can see that on the next slide. And then we also are looking at some incentives. Those are not included in our budgets that we're about to talk about, but we just wanted to show them to you in case that's something we want to look at on down the line. So, any questions?
Yeah, the attendance incentive, what does that mean? Each school will have an individual goal.
So this year we had a 2% goal overall. Each campus had to get 2% over their current average daily attendance. And so now they've all increased their average daily attendance. So getting 2% would be additional 2% would be very tough to reach. So we're looking at some more realistic goals that are also achievable, but not too low where it doesn't help us out as a whole. So.
And also aligned to the state accountability. So in one of the criteria for state accountability is you have to be paired up with your peer groups. So we're going to look at that and also making sure that it aligns to state accountability.
So we had 2 campuses that reached the attendance incentive this year. So we had Legacy and Sun Valley, I believe, are the 2.
Well, who's determining the individual goal?
So we are as a team, and we will bring that back to the board to look at what those goals will be.
And you're going to base those goals off of what?
Depending on the state accountability, in order for them to reach an A, you have to have a certain attendance. So that we're going to look at that requirement as to what that would be by the state.
And this begins in August, when we get back?
I will share on the incentives that these won't be budget items going into the school year until, whatever you decide on the winter incentive, that would be a fund balance item at that time, and the same thing with the attendance. So we won't budget for it, but we'd come back and say this is the schools that actually made it, and those would be fund balance items.
So it's not part of what we're going to be in the red.
Correct, at this point.
All right. So here we have the side-by-side comparison with our current base budget that's presented with the $1,400 teacher, nurse, librarian, and counselor raise and 2% for all their staff to the right. And so you can see the difference of about $2.4 million. This thing. Let's see here. I got the little pointer right there. So that's about the cost right there of the raise. And so.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
Where?
All right. Let's see here.
The purple, right?
There we go.
Okay.
So as we have, we also have on the bottom, just for informational purposes, what the $1,000 winter incentive would look like with approximate taxes. So that's about what it would cost. So that'd be in addition to this. So this is 13 million, that's another 2.5. So it'd be at like 15.5 million, which is way the wrong direction. So.
On the previous page, you had two options, though, right? 1,000 and 650.
Yeah, so we have a 750 option that you guys could consider. You could come back and say we'd do a $500 incentive, but just for informational purposes, I put the higher cost one just for. So, all right. Any questions? All right. So, moving from this screen into this screen, you can see our fund balance. We are forecasting that we will end the year with about $13.5 million deficit out of our fund balance. Those include several construction projects and the raises that we gave last year. And so which will forecast us to be around 69.7, 69.8 left in fund balance, which is the 5-month on hand requirement that we have through board policy. And so with the base budget that's presented, not with the raise, that's what the projected fund balance would be at the end of 2025. So if you want to do a raise, you just another $2.5 million, and then an incentive another $2.5 million. So it'd be like $54 million estimating if you wanted to do all those things. So.
Are you saying that we are keeping 5 months on hand, or that's
So
that's what the complete balance includes?
This is what will be at the end of this year with this forecasted number. So at the end of 2023, with our audit, we have 83 million in fund balance. After we go through this year, we forecasted out the rest of our expenses for the rest of this year and our revenue, and that's about what we think we'll be at, 13.5 million. And so take that from there, and that's what we think will end in August 31st. That's what we believe will be our fund balance. And then we take another 10.6 off, we get to be around 59 million right there. And
So you're projecting that at the end of 2025, we'll roughly be at 4 months.
yes,
So we're losing months with fund balance.
yeah.
As we project that, but over the next 2 years, as we increase in enrollment and expenditures, it could go up a little bit.
This is worst case scenario.
Yeah, so worst case, we spend out, we'll end up, I know that our fund balance, considered a rainy day fund. I know COVID was the rainy day, but we got ESSER funds to protect ourselves, and this is kind of the ramifications of that. And just the cost of everything has gone up across the board, not only with personnel, but products and consultants and contracted services. And so, this is where we utilize ESSER. So you can kind of notice from 2019, we went up and we maintained our fund balances, not having to use it. We've been pretty fortunate. We get to use it on capital projects and not operations as much, but right now it's an operational expenditure that's happening. So that's why we're just asking you to be mindful. I know the raise is probably not as large as we want to do, and the one-time incentive check and giving you multiple options, but all those will be hitting fund balance on top of the operational costs that you're seeing.
And
So-
state's in session next year,
Next year.
and we're hoping they realize.
Correct.
Our leader realizes that.
Yeah, we're hoping that with some state legislation, we'll get an influx of money. That's a great word. I was trying to think of the word, investment. And the other piece of this other thing that we have on our side that other districts don't have is that we are a growing district. And as we continue to grow, we saw gains in our ADA this year. I think the further and further we get away from COVID and kind of the practices we put in place for COVID, you get a sniffle, you're out 5 days. I think that's kind of going away now. And so we're seeing better gains in ADA. We're actually adding more students. That'll help us. But it's a good balance between trying to help, adding ADA and adding revenue, but also adding expenditures. And this year we've had to add a lot of expenditures because of our growth, which is a good thing.
So the budget last year was based on what ADA?
Last year we based on 94 93%.
And then what did we end with?
We ended at like, huh? No, ours is 90 point.
Last year was 90.6, and we're at, right now at 91.
Yeah, 91.8 is what she's asking what we budgeted on, not what we actually ended up. So, so we budgeted around 94%, like right under 93.8, and we hit 91. The best part about this year, which was different from last year, because last year we were like 88 something, we ended up having to settle up with the state for about 4.5 million that they overpaid us. They're actually going to owe us about 2.5 because of the strength that we've shown in our 88, because they projected us lower than, because they look at last year's number and then give us a different number. So we won't have that hit to revenue that we took this year, and that's why you're seeing that $13 million deficit. It really should be 9, but that's because we got an overpayment. All right.
And we're done with those payments, right? 'Cause before it was like a 2-year payment we were trying to catch up on.
Well, yeah. Well, when I say payment, it's like
Yeah, the money.
they overpay us.
Yeah,
Yes,
they weren't gonna pay us.
correct. We'll be on the right side of this time.
Next year. Yeah.
I like to call it an advance, but.
Yeah.
All right. This is what the pay scale would look like with the $1,400 teacher raise, and then a couple of the adjustments on the side to kind of bring the pay scale more in line to be more, I don't know, evenly distributed. So right now, this is our pay scale right here. We start at 59,000. And then next year, we're proposing to start at 60,000. And then this will be year 1, year 2. And so the way this reads is first year, a 0-year teacher gets a $1,400 raise, and next year there'll be a 1-year teacher, they'll be at 60,400. So it kind of reads across that way. And so that's what the scale would look like.
Where is our midpoint?
So I calculate midpoint based on a 20 years, so I calculated it based on this number right here. So I took 20% of that, and then
And is that competitive with others?
yes, it's pretty.
Yeah, if you go,
I know we did something.
well, if you go back to that first chart that shows we're like ranked 4th, and then if everybody else is doing a 2% or less, or some not doing anything, that kind of keeps us in that median market where we're 100% above market and right in the same top 5. We don't know what other districts are doing right now.
6%.
Yeah, so if somebody comes out with a 6% like East Central, then yeah, they're probably going to pass us. But we've talked to other folks, and there's not anybody talking about any large raises at this
Yeah, I
point.
was just wondering if we stayed neutral at midpoint, because I know a few years back we were lower, and then we
Correct.
kind of fixed that.
Yeah, we fixed that, and so we should be in line. And that's part of the TASB study. They studied that for us and looked at it, and they saw. And what we'll say overall, that our TASB study came back very healthy of where we're at on our pay scales across the board.
It's good to hear that, yeah.
And so, and they gave us an actual example. Scott kind of did his own, but it's pretty much in line close with what TASB recommended for us. Go ahead, Scott.
All right. There we go. So this is what the hiring schedule versus this year versus next year could look like, the proposed one. So currently, like I said, we have a $59,000 brand new teacher this year. Next year, a brand new teacher would be 60. 10-year teacher, 20-year teacher. Custodian, brand new custodian to our district this year would make $33,408, and next year a brand new custodian would make $33,617. So I just kind of showing these just as examples to kind of see the starting pay versus last year versus this year. Any questions on that? All right. Moving on to this is going to be a little more difficult conversation right here, the insurance update. As you know, Humana is no longer offering insurance to our district, so we brought in a consultant, Brown & Brown, to go out to the marketplace for us, and they came back with some options based on our current, I guess, our claim data and whatnot. So within the next couple of pages, you'll see some comparisons between what we currently have versus what we are proposing. And so one of the options on there we'll talk about here in a second is the bronze option. This is our most popular option. We currently have almost 1,200 employees on it, and they currently pay $22 a month. The updated Blue Cross Blue Shield price is $98 a month. It's an additional almost $76 a month, or $900 a year. So it's a pretty significant increase. They also came back with another option that we don't currently have. It's a HMO option, which is different than a PPO. And so this option comes at a price of $50.75, which is, more than this, $28 more, and that's the additional cost a year right there. So just wanted to give you those numbers as we head into the slides here. So
So the district gives $375.
yes,
So the bronze HMO option, the staff will pay $50.75 above the $374 that we already give them.
Correct. So the district's paying the majority of the insurance. The employee has to pay the $50 a month on it.
Okay.
so the
And
total.
that's the cheapest insurance.
That would be the cheapest plan we have, the bronze HMO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, are they, for the lowest plan, are they paying anything?
They're paying $22 right now.
$22.
Yeah.
So right now, they're paying the $22, and it'll be, if they decide to pick, they can't pick the exact same plan because their bronze PPO is $98. So
Okay.
we're offering them a bronze HMO,
Yes.
and that's the one that gets it to $50.
I don't know if the board would like these, because to me, like, I needed it so simplified for me. So I don't know if y'all would like to see this, because the team developed this for me to see what an employee is currently paying and then would be paying. And then it also has on there the number of employees. Most of our employees right now are on the bronze PPO. We have 1,174 employees. The employees were paying $22 and now would be paying $98. So this really just, to me, simplified it the most. That is a lot of great information, but it's a lot of information. So this one shares everything from how many employees are on those plans. Like the silver HMO, we only have 35 employees on there. So Scott, I don't know if you want my copy, if you want to answer any questions.
On that, because he has those up there.
Yeah.
The only one I didn't have on that one for you, Dr. Ball, at the time, because
The
we
new
would.
one.
The new one.
No one.
So I will say that for the most part, I know Mary's here, that the majority of our employees are going to want the bronze plan. So the bronze plan is still probably the cheapest. I would say maybe the HMO silver might be cheaper than the actual bronze PPO. But more than likely, we're going to have to do a lot of teaching and communication on the HMO plan, because I think employees are choosing to pay less premiums. But with an HMO plan, it's very strategic on the network. You have to really be in network. And so the great part about the staff, we have 1,100 employees only. They just get it from themselves. So it doesn't hurt families as much, because sometimes with an HMO, if you have children in college and they're in another state or they're in another city, there may not be a network for them there. So the HMO plan is a good plan. It's still more expensive than what they were paying. But based off our claims data, I think it was inevitable that these were going to go up. And Humana leaving the market, Aetna not wanting to be in the game worse either. We only really had 3 choices for providers. It was Cigna, United Care, was it? What did they call it? United? Yeah.
Well, this is.
Well, I know, but the 3 that we took it out to bid for.
Yeah.
And then Cigna. And so,
And I think what's most important to note is we have to educate our staff that on that plan, you don't get your own doctor. And I want to say that over and over, because that upsets some people right now.
correct. Well, you have to see if your doctor's in the network, and if they're not, then you have to pick a network doctor. Where a PPO, they're more flexible for the network.
Now, she did say the clinic next door is on the HMO.
Okay,
So
that's good.
that's good. So
Would you go to the silver and the gold just to show?
let's move to the.
There were some bright sides to it.
On the right.
Go ahead, Scott, sorry.
You want to do this one?
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, this is the one we talked about, right?
Right
So-
sides to,
Well, Scott's going to cover the silver and the gold actually are better plans for employees that are on those. The
So-
pricing is a lot better.
oh,
So we're not sure why this is, but this is our current silver plan with Humana right here. And you can see that currently employee only pays $183, but with the Blue Cross Blue Shield version, they pay $91.50, so there's some savings there. And then as well as in this area right here, it's significant saving. Well, you know, that's pretty significant right there. Employee plus spouse, go from the one person who's paying that. We'll get a discount, so. So we have that option, so we've seen some little, so I don't know if anybody will, you know, move up a notch to a different,
Well, the one thing that we're gonna point out to them is the difference in the deductible. The other one has $3,500 deductible, however, this one has a $1,200 deductible.
yeah.
So you may be paying $50 more a month on the other one. How it kind of behooves you to go ahead and elect this one because
Yeah.
the savings is still going to be towards that deductible of $3,500.
Yeah. So that's our
So
silver.
we'll give all this information out to the employee and make them aware, these are pointers. Make sure that we have a directory that we're gonna at least have them look at to see if their doctors are affiliated with the HMOs. And of course, definitely that's gonna be a plus for them. It doesn't, the only problem we've had in the past with HMOs is that they don't offer coverage out of state. So sometimes it's a little difficult to receive any type of health coverage on the outside of your.
oh, for like the kids that are going to college and
Yes,
stuff?
yes.
Yeah.
So that's why the other ones would be an option for parents to pick and choose. You still have the option of that PTO and or the HMO.
And when you say you're gonna get the information to the employees, when do y'all start that, like
So
now?
I'll start working with Brown and Brown immediately. We'll start developing flyers, postcards, information, giving them direction as to where they can find this information, whether it be on our website, or how we're going to offer the information to them so they can have it readily available before enrolling. That way they can do their comparison. And of course, we'll be available, and so will Brown and Brown, to answer any questions and kind of direct and guide and be there to offer any assistance we possibly can.
And so can we have this Brown and Brown, and then our employees, are they gonna be available, let's say I'm a teacher and I wanna come, in the end of June. I just wanna come to the office and have somebody will sit down with me and show me the different options, is that, or are we gonna wait until, like, the big sign up?
No, actually, an employee, once we batch out that information, my team will be readily available, and if I need to, I can schedule Brown and Brown to come in at least maybe once a week,
Yeah.
one day out of the week, and say, hey, these are the dates and the times that they're gonna be available in case you want any detailed
Awesome,
information.
that'd be great.
And if we could also do that for anybody that wants to do that through Zoom, we could do like a little group one. Some people
Absolutely.
want to do that too. We could do it through Zoom.
What is our open enrollment for this year?
We've already gone through open enrollment for all our other
Voluntary.
voluntary products, and so we will have, I'd like, Mary, you want to give a schedule?
We don't have a schedule yet, but we will, like I said, we're gonna batch out the information, and if need to, we'll hold enrollment sessions for the employee, whether it be a weekly basis, monthly basis, but we'll all have to be on board by the end of August.
I'm not gonna be able to let you really figure it all out, so.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, this is a good one.
go with it. Move it.
Yeah, you can finish.
All right. So this is our remaining timeline for our budget. We'd like to bring the compensation plan to you all at the next week at our regular scheduled board meeting. And we continue the budget discussion throughout July. And we should start receiving our certified values in July and have some better revenue updates by then. All in time to approve the budget in August and set the tax rate. So, any questions?
So, somebody asked us why we're adopting this deficit budget. There's like a community number.
Correct.
And then they say, well, why can't you cut costs? So I know the only area that makes a significant difference would be staff, right?
Correct.
Because
Correct.
but other than staff, what can we look at that would make any sort of impact of lowering or down?
Well, it's a great question. You know, the issue that we face, some of our bigger budgets. So we look at campuses and we do a formula base per campus. We could lower that number. Let's say we're giving 135 per a student, we could make it 125. You could do a 10% across the board. I know districts that do 10%, and then they put in things like limit travel, limit reimbursables, limit, I guess you would say, I don't want to say celebrations, different things that you can do. But if you take like our overall operating budget out of the $150 million budget that we have, 27 million of that is in operational costs that are non-personnel. So we could cut 27 million and do it to 10%, and we're going to save 2.7 million across the board. And so that would lower the deficit, a little bit. Or you do 15% or 20% of the operational budget. The issue that we face in these times is, as we look at places where we possibly can cut, we have places that are growing, like our utilities. CPS increased our rate, so we saw like 3% increase on the $6 million that we already paid. We're seeing tremendous costs in operational of facilities and maintenance on parts and contracted services. We're seeing contracted services skyrocket in the area of special ed. So we're actually still doing that, finding places to where budgets are no longer really needed and where we can cut. But right now we're supplementing these other places. Athletics, the cost of all the refs have gone up. The cost of travel has gone up. The cost of meals for these kids that go to games, we can't buy $6 Whataburger no more. It's $12. And so these are all expenses that we're facing as we're looking and diving deep, like, here, where can we cut? And then it's like, well, no, then I have this department say, hey, we need to add more to our budget. So we're right now, I don't have a great answer for you, but we could sit down and say we're going to do a 10%, a 15% across our non-personnel budget, but really to put a dent in it. Like, you see what a 2% does to a raise. Like, we just gave it 2% and that added 2.4. So even if we saved 2.5 in the operational, we just raised it 2.5. So there's going to have to be a strategy that we have to kind of put into place. Hopefully, we're hoping our revenue will start catching our expenditure and narrow the gap, and then we'll just have to kind of get creative on things that we are doing above and beyond the normal instructional day, because we have a lot of programs that we're doing that are really great for kids.
Yeah.
And I know some districts are having to step back. They're closing schools, they're taking away programs. I don't believe we're there yet. I think that we've built a strong fund balance to maintain those things, but we're just going to have to keep an eye on it and watch it and start really get into a plan, a long-term plan if we continue in the same trajectory.
Because I know in years past, I don't remember it may have been Dr. Villegas was the superintendent at the time, but do you remember when we asked everybody to cut their budgets by 10%?
Right.
And so I know that at that time, they were able to cut their budgets 10%.
Correct.
So if we did something like that, if we said, okay, everybody's going to have to cut their budget 10%, and then we used that, whatever that savings was, and then put it back into some kind of teacher incentive.
Correct.
Like we're giving them whatever at Christmas, then maybe we say we're going to cut these budgets by 10%, and then it wouldn't like put more money into the thing, but we could reallocate so that they don't take quite the hit on the incentives.
Correct.
When we had all the ESSER money, we were able to give $2,500, and so it's just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Like, let's see what it looks like if we ask the campuses, everybody.
Yeah.
We need you to cut, because basically, if we didn't have the money, we'd be telling them you're cutting your budget by 25%.
Correct. Right now, I mean, if
whatever
we-
it would be. And
if we-
so
yeah.
if we, that way we can be a little more, and it would really benefit everybody, because then everybody would be able to have a little bit more of an incentive payment. I don't know, that's just an
Yeah,
idea.
and we do need to look at it, because as we see, we're going from 5 years to 4 years, which another year, we could very well be at the limit, 3
Correct.
years, and then we have nowhere to go to.
Correct, yes, sir.
I know that, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I know I wasn't asked, but I know that I have thought about some things that we could do, because we have a lot of duplication of things. Duplication in stipends we have duplication in celebrations that we spend a lot of money on. We have to look more efficiently in regards to central office, and we have more than one person trying to do the same thing. Then all of these things is what we talk about on a regular basis with other superintendents. We have to look at the vendors that we do business with. Most people aren't going to go with Go Public anymore or go with BCEC anymore. The amount of travel that we do, and I'm talking, none of these have to do with students, all having to do with the adults. So those would also be some of the things that I would hope that the board would consider too.
Yeah, and so when we look at a budget workshop, that's kind of more what I'm thinking along those lines, so that y'all can say, like, if as a board, we gave you the direction, okay, we don't want a $13 million deficit, we want a $10 million deficit. What can you show us? How can we get there without affecting kids, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time appreciating our employees. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that we're not saying, okay, then that's it, we're gonna have a $15 million deficit. So what can we do so that as stewards of the money, we can tell the community, you know, this is what we're trying to do to make sure we have this much money in case, you know, we need it for whatever. So maybe show us like what is a feasible because I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
No.
nobody to tell you don't spend this money here, right? But if together y'all can get a plan to show us, we could cut here, and if we ask them to do 10%, they weren't real happy when we asked them to do 10%, but they did the 10%.
Correct. Well, I mean, we do the 10% because, I mean, it'll be forced. I mean, because we set budgets with them,
Yeah.
and we'll tell them this is your allotment.
Yeah.
I think we can break it down even further, because I think there's this thought process out there, and I would say besides maybe transportation, which I still think impacts kids,
Yeah.
but really your big budgets in central office budget is very small comparable to like what central oppositions and like library services that impact kids.
Right.
So when we break it down, we can show where the majority of the money is going towards kids in the different programs, and how that can impact, you know, where those cuts could be made and things that we've always done, things that can possibly go away. So we can probably really dive into that and show y'all even by program, by function, where we could possibly look at and then what a 10%
Yeah.
deduction would look like.
That's what I would like to have, so that when we do adopt the budget, and if the community wants to know, well, what do you, I mean, because all of us families, we're having to tighten our belt, right, because of how much everything costs. And so how are we gonna do that feasibly, though? We don't wanna be like, okay, we're have to close 6 schools. But so that we're kind of ahead of that, so we have a good answer when people ask us.
We'll do. We'll work
And
on
I think
it.
it's really, really important that when the biennium begins, we all need to take this very seriously and contact our legislators. This is getting out of hand. They have money, they don't want to spend it on education, and it's, honestly, I just find it ridiculous. We all need to do our jobs in sending letters and advocating for funding.
Yeah.
And people voting.
Yeah, people need to do that.
They're making us do all this stuff up to, especially all the extra safety stuff and pay for it out of pocket.
But I thank you, Scott, for all the info, and then you'll get us more into the.
Correct.
Okay. Now, item B, card giveaway.
Yes.
So as we talk about all the expenditures, one of the things that we need to focus on is the revenue. And one of the big ones that y'all know, of course, is our attendance. So delighted to say, though, it wasn't exactly where we wanted it to be. There was improvement.
Yeah.
And I know that a few of you were able to go to Legacy. You saw the joy in their face. But they also worked really hard,
Yeah.
you know, to get there. So the conversation that we're going to have right now is to talk about an amazing opportunity that the district has had for over, gosh, probably over 15, 20 years in regards to the car. You've had that for a long time, that car giveaway. So really wanted to look at maximizing it. This year, towards the end, we heard, gosh, I didn't know that I had this opportunity. From students, from parents, and from our very own employees. So if you think back about it, you guys know about it, but did you ever see it advertised somewhere? Did you ever see it truly promoted about the car giveaway? So
It used to be promoted at the schools at the beginning of the year.
They used to have a car park.
They used to leave it in, the car was in the mall.
Right. And yep, I remember that way back. That's how long it's been, you know, since
I don't know how they're promoting it now. I mean, we don't hear about it.
And they're not. And I'm one that will own when things are not going right. So I asked the team to look at it and say, what changes can we make to make sure that we maximize this amazing opportunity in order to get more attendance, because attendance will help our budget situation. So what you're going to hear about from the staff right now is a change that we would like to make in regards to how we give this car away, because ultimately when Toyota gave us this, it was to help attendance. It was to help improve attendance. And we know we need to market it better, inform our parents, inform our teachers and staff, so they could also encourage students, something that did not happen this year. So the team is going to share this information. What you have before you is the difference that it made. So imagine with no advertising, with no real talking about it, the car, we made some gains at the high schools, but how much more we could make if we really start to promote this. So I will turn it over to either Laura or Adrian, whoever's going first.
Good afternoon, Board President Vasquez, board members, Dr. Ball, and senior leaders. So in previous years, Southwest ISD did award a new vehicle donated by Northpark Toyota to an eligible senior, one from Legacy High School, one from Southwest High School. And CASTEM seniors have also participated in this yearly incentive to increase winning opportunities and to improve student attendance at our high schools. Students in grades 9 through 12 will now be able to participate in this yearly incentive. And so what we'd like to do right now is share with you how we've adjusted the car giveaway to include students in those grade levels. So you'll notice that, and we've talked about this before, you know, our attendance has actually, the trend has actually been, has indicated a decline or decrease in student attendance, you know, from 94.5 in 2012, 2013 to 91.86 this current school year. So overall, like I said, there has been a decrease or decline in student attendance. And so with a $12 million deficit, you know, I think now more than ever it's important that we look at ways that we can be more innovative and find ways that we can address student attendance and really improve and increase and encourage students to attend school daily. We have actually done some things that have resulted in some increases. And when we point out what we've seen as far as improvements in some of our campuses, we're looking at anywhere from a 0.3 percentage point increase all the way to and if you look at the more current, this is from last week. What you have in front of you is what we pulled today. And so you'll notice increases of about anywhere from 0.1% to 2.9% for Legacy High School. And for a high school, that 2.9% is huge. So definitely some areas that, and campuses where we've really shown significant improvement as far as student attendance. And overall for our district, if you'll look on that paper that we had, that we just gave you, an overall 1.10 percentage point increase. And we're still working on updating these. We're still looking at this until it's finalized, I think, in mid-July. So we attribute these increases at the campus level to several things. One, the hyper monitoring that's been done all year long, and really stressing the importance of not just monitoring our attendance data, but responding to that data. It's one thing just to know where we stand, but it's another to actually respond to that data and actually do something with it. Attention to gap and making sure that attendance across the board, not just during official attendance reporting periods, is accurate, but that attendance is accurate across the board. Communication, I know that there's been an increase in the amount of communication that we've engaged in with stakeholders, with parents, with students, really working to inform them of the importance of coming to school and really what can happen when students don't come to school daily. And then, of course, last thing, and I think, a very fun part of what we did this year has to do with the incentives, and the prize patrol that was created earlier this year, and going to the campuses and being part of those incentives that the district put together, and even the incentives that the campuses put together as well. Many of them put together some really neat things to encourage students to come to school every day. So, again, definitely some improvement at a lot of our campuses, and we attribute that improvement to what you see here. And so with that, when we talk about including students in grades 9 through 12, we're talking about, of course, we have to have a conversation about eligibility. How are we going to make students in high school eligible for this opportunity, this continued opportunity?
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Are you considering giving a card to kids that don't even drive?
Yes, because we currently do right now. There are some kids that are winning the car that don't drive.
But you're considering so as a freshman, I could win the car.
Yes,
So not just seniors, yeah.
right.
I don't.
No, well, here, I like the thought, I like the idea, but how about we promote it as, okay, freshman, your attendance will get you bonus points when you become a senior. I still think this should go to a senior. This is my thought. But I do like the idea of freshmen, sophomores, juniors every year, because isn't it like you get a ticket into a raffle to be a finalist or something like that?
Currently,
How do you currently decide who the keys are going to?
it's for seniors, and it's based on 4 criterias. Attendance,
Just their senior year?
their senior year, yes, sir.
So it should be something that's going to.
Yeah, that grows as a freshman, as a sophomore, as a junior. So now as a senior, if you did all this the past 3 years, you have more of a chance, because aren't they getting raffle tickets or something, and only
No.
the finalists get
It used
pulled?
to be you got an entry for this, an entry for that.
I mean,
It wasn't that this year. It could have been like that previously, but it wasn't like that this year.
Then they would draw and you
I
have
would
more
rather
chances.
see a creative way of freshmen, sophomores, juniors get bonuses when they become senior, as far as the opportunity to get a key, than to be eligible to get the car.
I know that you say some
Okay.
seniors don't drive, but they're seniors, they're older, they're more mature.
Yeah.
But having a freshman win a car and wanting to learn to drive, they're just not mature enough, you know?
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, my personal opinion is it should still be a senior that wins. If there's a way to give them more opportunity when they become a senior because of their freshman, sophomore, junior, but in the big scheme of things, we have how many thousands of kids at the high school? Like at Southwest High School, how many?
There's over
thousands?
2,000, 2,100.
So if there's 2,000 kids at the high school and only one kid is gonna win the car, I don't see that as being an incentive to come to school.
And-
It's
and-
gonna be an incentive for your higher kids that are already going to school, but if you, I don't know, I think seniors should win
Some
the
lesser
car
of a chance to win.
Let's say you're gonna get 60 keys, okay? As a senior, I can earn 4 tickets, and they go into a spinning thing, and you have 4 chances. Maybe you only earn 3. But as a freshman, I can earn 2. As a sophomore, I can earn 3. As a junior, I can earn 4. So now as a senior, I can earn 4, but I've already earned this many. So your chances increase. I mean, that's just a thought I'm throwing out. I mean, this is-
So,
I don't wanna give a freshman a car.
Yeah.
No, but I do want to incentivize
Yeah.
the cost.
No, I agree with the
Something else, like-
incentivizing, but I don't think that.
Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, when I was school, we had a thing where like, for passing the team that taught us or whatever it was at the time, they gave us tickets to go to Six Flags, and then, but the car giveaway was something that you earned over from, actually, it used to be from elementary, it was all later on up. But I think they had limited to freshman, sophomore, junior, high school years, and that's what puts you at the higher level.
How was it
I
exactly
just-
done for seniors this year? How was that?
When did it change that they were not earning those tickets and doing the raffle?
I can't tell you when it changed. I can only tell you what was inherited from when we started this year. So from when we started this year, we did not change it. It was what the district already had. I can't tell you when it changed.
And what was it? What did we do this year?
What are we doing this year for them, those 10 people that were out there, 12 people that were the students?
How did they qualify?
So I too was not part of it. I know of it because I had to read it for us to have several meetings to decide what options we could have available. So it was based on 4 criteria for seniors only on this year only. Again, it was based on attendance. And yes, it was on entries as Mrs. Dolkin mentioned. If they were at zero absences up to 3, they would earn up to 3 tickets, depending on where they were at. It was based on GPA, it was based on discipline, and my last one was grades.
That was this year.
That was for what just currently happened,
How
yes,
do they
sir.
work the discipline?
No discipline referrals.
Discipline referrals, and I think that's where it became a little bit kind of confusing
Here,
because
Roger,
you
got it for you.
looked at the severity of offenses also. I mean, are we talking about a student that was, addressed for class cutting or, an issue that they were sent to the office, and then you've got a student who maybe went to DAEP or something like that? I mean, are we looking at them the same? And so that's why I think there was a tendency to want to go back to just attendance, because it kind of simplified things, but it addressed an area that we know is a concern for us that could help us with the funding situation and things like that. So it's with those 4 parameters, with those 4 conditions or 4 criteria, it really kind of complicated things. And we had to look closely at each of those areas and the students that were eligible. So one student could potentially not be eligible anymore because of that one area. So taking it back to attendance, I think, helped to simplify, but helped us address an area that we really still need to continue to kind of focus on.
Well,
And I'm okay with just attendance, and I'm okay with getting as freshmen, but only the seniors are eligible for the car. As a freshman, you can get tickets that
You can
you'll
start
use your
earning
senior
your
year.
chances.
And that'll also incentivize you to stay here 4 years, As a sophomore, as a junior. I mean,
I believe at the beginning, I thought it was just attendance only for the seniors. No? It was
I mean,
for the-
I can't say for sure what it was at the very beginning. I can tell you for sure not this year.
Well, that's fine too, I mean, whatever.
What-
But like you said, discipline causes issues.
What are your thoughts? Can you
Can we-
continue presenting so we could see and
For
then?
being late, which is-
Really the thought is to get more students to come to school on a regular basis. It's attendance. That's really the most thought. We actually researched what SAISD does, and SAISD does it from kinder through 12th, and the parent also has the opportunity to win that because they're the ones that are in control of bringing the child to school. So they incentivize them since the very early on to truly try to make a huge impact on attendance.
well, obviously, it's gonna lie with the parents. It's just like when we had this conversation last year, I remember saying, the only way we're gonna improve attendance is if we can get our parents to realize the importance of attendance. And that we need to tell them, when your kid doesn't come to school, not only do we miss out on funding, they miss out on instruction time, they miss out on opportunities to do whatever. I mean, we can incentivize a student till the cows come home, but if the parent isn't gonna make that kid or drive the kid to school or make sure they're attending school, our attendance rate is only gonna go up when the parents realize how important it is for the kid to go to school. And so I mean, just in my opinion, if we opened it up to the entire school district, there's 14,000 people in the school district, and you're gonna give one prize to those, out of the 14,000 students, very few families are gonna think they have a chance to win that car. So I don't see the car as being a great attendance incentive. I think we have to start educating our parents, and we as a board need to educate our the parents that we come into contact with, to say, you just have to send your kid to school. You just have to. There's not an option. I mean, I can speak from experience. Some of my nieces and nephews, it's like, well, we didn't want to go to school. Well, I don't care if you don't want to go to school. You got to go to school. We're losing a lot of money when you're going to school. So I don't know that.
So let me ask, so is the board saying, no, you do not want to change it for next year for it to include 9th through 12th?
I don't.
Okay.
But I mean, that's just me. I don't know what y'all want to do.
I don't want to give it to a freshman.
Well, no,
If we can set up
again,
rules where maybe they're
Yeah.
gaining stuff, but come up with another incentive for the
But
freshman, junior,
Yes.
freshman, sophomore, and juniors. And let's look at something that will help incentivize them, but not the equivalent to the car. So the car, that should be something that they're earning freshman through senior year, working towards it. If I can miss school and keep my grades up for the first 3 years, but then if I don't, the attendance only counts the senior year, I'll come sit down in class and not do nothing my senior year, but I missed out on the first 3 years of helping out with the.
I missed it real quick, 'cause I had to step out. So right now, it's
Just senior year.
senior year.
So-
Okay, and now they want to,
They're
suggesting
that
we
we
do it over
the freshman through senior, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
I just think this is a hard sell for like a junior going to a senior year, and then they're saying, there goes my chances from just the 400 in senior year to now the entire school district of the high school. Is like, I mean, that would cause me just to raise up my hands like, well, I'm not going to try now. I mean, that's just me saying this, but
And that's fine. We'll relook at it, and we'll look at it. All I can tell you right now, we're not getting our bang for our buck. So I think it's important that we look at things, but if the board wants to stick to just the senior year, we have no problem
I thought the
with that.
partnership
No,
included giving it to a senior.
Just the seniors eligible for the car.
Eligible, yeah.
But you
We
could
need
be
to
getting
restrict.
points, or, for lack of a better word, beginning as freshmen, okay? But we need to let them know that as a freshman, you can earn so many tickets towards your car chances as a senior, okay? And then we promote that, I think that'll help, okay, I'm gonna go for my 4 tickets, freshman, sophomore, and junior year, that way I can get 4 more as a senior. 4 times 4 is what?
And we will
That's
gladly, I will gladly do
that's what I'm
what the
saying.
board requests. I'll gladly do that. But I think for a freshman, thinking like, I'm not gonna get anything to the senior year, it also, just like you feel like it's a junior, will say, I lost my
Glass half
chance.
full or half
It's,
empty.
That's what
yeah.
I'm saying, find out some small incentive for the end of the year. It is
And
something like
a
a
freshman,
SEMO
as a
ticket
freshman,
or water park
the top
ticket.
guy can, or girl can get a trip to SeaWorld.
Yeah, some, like
trip
the
to
ones
Six
that
Flags,
reach a certain attendance
But
point.
the car should be.
Right, but just keep in mind, we did incentivize them.
Well, y'all are wanting to
This year.
let a freshman get a key to win the car too?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
No.
because it's supposed to be for the senior walk, the senior car giveaway, the senior everything.
I think that we gave the incentives a really good shot. And
We
to
did.
try to improve our attendance. I don't know that we got our bang for our buck with the attendance incentives. I mean, I don't want to throw out the attendance incentives altogether because really 1 year is not a good measure. But we're gonna have to figure out how to get more bang for our buck on the incentives, because it looks like some schools, either they didn't really care to improve their attendance, or they had a plague go through their schools. Because, I mean, 1% or 0.10 versus 2.9, and then you have to also look at the high school. Southwest was already at 90.5. So, kudos to them to go to 91.4, because, that's a little bit more difficult than going, having already a super low one and then improving it by 2%.
Yeah, we'll definitely look at it, and just like we will look at the senior walk, because I also feel senior walks was very poorly attended,
It was.
very poorly attended.
It was this year.
Well, after we divided the schools, it's been less attendance
Yeah.
because there's less students.
I mean, when we had the only one high school, the senior walk, there was,
Tons of people.
like, thousands.
It looked like it was a lot of people, but now
Yeah, they were all
divided
together,
into the
so.
two schools.
I know, but yes, that's fine.
No.
But
And
you're
I don't
right.
think it
It was
gets
down.
promoted as well. It only gets promoted to the senior. And I think maybe if it'd be promoted to all the schools, we'd have more attendance.
No, we can leave it as is. That's not a problem. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, we do have closed session. As permitted by sections 551.001 -551.146 of the Texas Government Code and pursuant to Government Code 551.074, we will not go into closed session. We come back into session at 1:01. Roger, we're ready, right? Good. Okay. Item 9.
I move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation on personnel.
A second.
There is a motion and a second. The superintendent's recommendations on personnel, administrator employment resignations, reassignments, leaves of absence, contract renewals be approved. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Other business.
I just want to remind everybody who wants to attend tomorrow's picnic. We have our staff picnic. 11 to 1.
Tomorrow.
Sorry, I can't make it.
No, I understand, there's been so many activities
Where's this
And-
at the old Southwest Elementary cafeteria.
And we start 4-day week this week,
Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
So, just so we know,
Some-
don't try to come over here on
Summer school
Friday.
started today.
Today.
Today, yeah.
For the staff, yesterday.
Okay. We're all good? What time is it?
102.
1:02. This meeting is now closed.
Did you forget from 1 minute to the next?
Yeah,